You're welcome. Tonight, we focus on a recent incident that has ignited nationwide conversation, the looting of a government warehouse in Abuja containing food items. But just to say that we are interrupting that, we had to interrupt that memorial service relay to continue with the normal programming. But our hearts do indeed go out to the family, friends, and relatives of the late Wigwe, Mr. Herbert Wigwe, his wife, and his son. Well, let's get back to our story. The act, of looting in Nigeria reported in Abuja recently has sparked multitude of questions and ignited passionate debate. On Sunday, residents of Abuja raided a warehouse belonging to the Federal Capital Territories Department of Agriculture. Initial reports suggested that the warehouse belonged to the National Emergency Management Agency, that's Nigeria's emergency response body, but this was later refuted. The Federal Capital Territory Administration, however, came out and said that it condemned the act and describing it as criminal and beyond mere hunger, and it vowed to prosecute those involved. So far, 15 suspects have been apprehended, including 2 security guards, and recovered stolen items as well. Some analysts have linked the incident to severe hunger and poverty in Nigeria following the increase in the cost of living, while others have viewed it as a message to the government regarding the current economic hardship in the country occasioned by the removal of the subsidy on petrol. Tonight, our guest, Ladipo Johnson, a lawyer and spokesperson for the New Nigeria People's Party. He joins us via video link. Good evening to you, Mr. Johnson. It's good to see you again. All right. I don't know if you can hear me, but please do check if you are muted, your audio, so that we can hear you, sir. As far as you're concerned, what are the factors, Mr. Johnson, that are contributing to the dire economic situation in the country, and how do you think it impacts the lives of the ordinary citizen?
Yes. I take it you can hear me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Well, the incident was quite unfortunate, but I dare say that looking at the situation we find ourselves in a holistic manner, unfortunately, such incidents will only be on the increase, except government does something very quickly and drastically to intervene. We saw of a similar incident happening into a truck somewhere in Kano State or in Kaduna State recently as well. The hardship, economic hardship, rising inflation, and rising unemployment are ingredients that will cause such events to be on the increase. You can argue that it is their criminal actions. You can say all sorts of things. But the bottom line, if you go down to the grassroots, then you don't even need to go to the grassroots. When you talk to people, even professionals, then you see that the rising cost of living is creating a problem for the average man in the country. And I dare say government from government, but government really hasn't tackled the issue. That's one. Two, sir, is the fact that the people do not see government or any part of government cutting their costs or acting as if they are adjusting their way
All right, we seem to be having a frozen screen with Mr. Ladipo Johnson, spokesperson for the New Nigeria People's Party. We hope to have him back sooner than later so we can continue with the conversation. Ladipo Johnson Esquire, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. Where did you lose me?
Yeah, just in the last sentence.
Yes, so basically, the people also feel that they are tightening their belts, yet those in government have done nothing to tighten their belts or cut the cost of governance. The optics are not good. Various incidents have occurred, even the president's visit to Qatar. The optics are not good. And so we keep talking to people, but hunger is growing, is increasing, and I pray that this is not facing too many incidents of in the next few months.
All right, I want to take a quote from the Honorable Minister of State for the FCT, Maria Mahmood, whose house was recently gutted by fire. She yesterday paid an on-the-spot visit to assess she made an on-the-spot assessment of the damage at that warehouse, which is the warehouse of the Agricultural Department of the FCT. And Maria Mahmood made a statement. She said, and I quote, "Not only the food items that are here, including the roofings, windows, and even the gates, this place and offices were all attacked. You can see the level of damage." She says there's nothing that is left here, including the machineries that are used for the processing of these things. So she says the roofing sheets were pulled off and taken away. The windows were pulled out, the doors and the machines that they had there were taken away. And she went on to say, and I quote, "By the way, but the way this thing has happened is beyond hunger. This is a criminal act. Somebody that is hungry cannot move out to remove all the roofs that are here, all the doors, windows, and gates." And to what extent, Ladipo Johnson, can this looting incident be attributed to hunger and desperation? Looking at what the Minister of State for the FCT has said.
Well, I quite appreciate the quotation, but the bottom line is that hunger leads to desperation. And unfortunately, some will see looting and stealing as part of their trying to solve the problem of hunger and death. When you look at recall the SARS event, there was lots of looting. You have such situations as people are taking, wrongfully rather, taking food out. Some people are taking television screens. Some not because they want to watch TV, but they feel they can sell it. Unemployment is so high. And yet we're still borrowing.
Ladipo Johnson, I want to ask you, Ladipo Johnson, I want to ask you, are you saying that unemployment and hunger are reasons to go break into a government facility and take whatever you want?
My brother, for you, for me, it might not be a reason to do it. The basic thing is you've broken into some place, it is illegal as far as we're concerned. They will tell you that it is okay for you to believe that it is illegal. You have eaten 3 times today.
I haven't eaten 3 times today. As a matter of fact, I haven't really even
I'm just saying. You're looking fresh, Kofi. You understand? The hungry man is a hungry man is an angry man, as the saying goes. He will not understand that. And don't forget, this is mob action. It only takes about towards a warehouse. People just joining in. There are frustrations out there. As you know, I'm a politician, and we're involved with the grassroots. There are frustrations out there. Even in the profession, there are many lawyers who are out there who are struggling. I'm giving you an example. They can't feed properly.
So Ladipo Johnson, these lawyers,
difficult for them.
Good, you just reminded us you're a lawyer, because I'm going to tackle you from the legal point as well. But these lawyers, why aren't they breaking into government warehouses to take what they feel is theirs?
Because everybody's threshold is different. Everyone's threshold is different. You see, the man, the professional, for instance, that's if we still have middle class. He might be able to wait and say, okay, let me borrow from my friend here. Let me try to get a loan from a bank. Let me pay the school fees. The man at the grassroots, of the farmer that has been unable to farm because of the scourge of Boko Haram. You understand? He has. Look, yesterday we were meant to have this program, if you recall. When your banner went out, a friend of mine who is a farmer called me from the northern part of Nigeria, from Kaduna to be precise. And she spoke to me for about 2 hours in pain, telling me that, look, don't think that people, they're criminals or what have you. We haven't been able to go to our farms. We haven't been able to do this. We haven't been able to do that. We spoke for about 2 hours. And then I got a clearer picture of it. So this problem, going back to your initial question, this problem has been on the cards. Yes, Ukraine gave us some grain. It's all right for people to laugh that happened. But that Nigeria has been at war.
Ladipo Johnson, I want to find out from you. You've been in this country longer than I have. Can you tell me a time in the history of Nigeria ever, maybe since 1960, when we've not had people who were hungry, facing economic difficulties, or going through a hard time?
My brother, yes. Well, look.
Can you give me a year, a period?
When you study economics, they'll tell you there's no time, there's nothing like full employment. Economy, yes, during Gowon's era, when I was very young, we heard that, in fact, I knew of the time when it was a naira to 1 point something US dollars. And then it had come on spiral. To date, from May 29th last year, to date, not up to a year, almost a year. Now you have Togo, Benin Republic, etc., etc. Their currency is much, much, much more stronger.
I asked a question. Now, I'm not trying to downplay the difficulties that some persons in Nigeria are going through. It's well documented. And personally, I have sympathy for the situation because we're all facing it in one way or the other. But I asked,
definitely,
looking at the acceptability of the actions and taking the quote or the words of the Minister of State for the FCT, Maria Mahmood, who said that the action is beyond hunger, it is a pure act of criminality. You were saying that people are going through a lot and they had to go there to take what they could, even if it was a window or a door, so they could sell it to buy food. Now, you're talking about hunger. We're all talking about hunger. And if this period in a time like this is acceptable, I'm asking you, has there been a period in Nigeria's history, at least since 1960, where we've not had a good number of people, majority or a sizable of the population, in poverty and in hunger and in need of help, in need of food, who can't afford to feed themselves 3 meals a day? Have we had that in the history of this country? Because the reason I'm asking this is, even before President Tinubu said subsidy is gone, a petrol tanker falls down or tumbles over on the road, spills his content, people go to scoop. Poverty doesn't make it right, and we all condemn them because they're taking a risk that may mean the end of their lives. It happens, it's been happening before now.
Yes, it's the desperation. You wouldn't go to fuel from a tanker that is falling. You won't. So there's no time. Even in the US, the UK, everyone has issues. They have problems. The economy might be going through difficult times, but it is the percentage of people that you have. Yes, Nigeria has always had some form of difficulties, yet a large percentage of people will tell you that, oh, those were the good old days. But you now have more people telling you that things are so difficult. What is happening? Inflation is almost galloping. That's what I'm trying to say. But back to that question, the minister is right. Vandalism, criminality should not be encouraged. But I am a politician, a social commentator. I will not speak on behalf of the minister. And I'm not speaking on behalf of the vandals either. What I'm saying is, I'm trying to say that we have, the minister and those in government have to do something quickly.
Ladipo Johnson,
God forbid, if God forbid, it blows up, we won't be on TV talking about whether it was wrong, because it would have spiraled out of control. Places will be burning.
So Ladipo Johnson, Ladipo Johnson, is there any country in this world, okay, that is facing an economic crisis which the government can solve to every single citizen? Is there any solution that any government, any individual can bring, sorry sir, that will put food on the table of every single Nigerians 2 times or even once a day?
I'm not saying that government can solve the problem.
Because it sounds like you're saying that.
I was the one that said to you earlier that there is nothing like full employment. Look, if you drive around Washington, you'll find places that are ghettos. No, it's not perfect anywhere. But I'm talking about the size of the population that is facing the economic crunch.
I want to ask you, Ladipo Johnson, let's just say inflation goes down to 9% or sub 10%. Let's say that, because let's say the fuel subsidy is restored and the price of petrol goes back to 250 naira per liter. That's number 2. Let's say 1 naira becomes 1 point something dollars today or tomorrow. We wake up and Eureka is there, as it was in the days of Go On, like you said. Will we see that people are okay, people are able to feed themselves, and such an incident, if they have a chance, they will not go and break into a warehouse and loot it?
Of course, look, if that were the situation, it would be 100 times more difficult for people to practice that sort of vandalism, because others will not join them.
Are you saying hunger? Are you saying hunger of the indigent, members of our population, poverty, need, and all that will disappear?
Of course, look, if that were the situation, it would be 100 times more difficult for people to practice that sort of vandalism, because others will not join them. The, you, you, you look at the
Are you saying hunger of the indigent, members of our population, poverty, need, and all that will disappear? Or will be reduced to a reasonably large extent in that case?
It will be great. It will reduce greatly.
I disagree with you.
You understand?
I disagree with you.
Sorry?
I disagree with you.
Well, if you disagree, it's fine. You can disagree. But what I'm saying to you is that if inflation drops to single digits, the dollar is now 1.5 to the naira. My brother, you won't even be here to, you won't be saying you disagree with me.
Okay, let me give you an instance. Yeah.
On the streets of the country, that the people will be better, the economy will begin to flow.
Yeah.
There'll be more jobs. We're talking economics here.
Okay, Ladipo Johnson, what was the situation of the average Nigerian, the majority of the population out there, when the fuel subsidy was still in place under Buhari? Nigeria was called the poverty capital of the world. People were still looting. It happened.
Yes.
I'm coming,
yes,
sir. I'm going to give you 3 examples. When Goodluck Jonathan was president, Mr. Johnson, the inflation was sub 10%. It was single digit. We still have hungry people around. When Gowon was in charge, sir.
Yes. Did you have?
We still had hungry people around.
Did you have as many hungry people then as you do now?
Percentage-wise, it could be argued.
Look, there's nowhere where you get 100% of anything. What I'm saying is the economy is worse today than it was even a year ago, less than a year ago. Forget Buhari's time. From May 29th to date, that has of the naira. So it's bound to affect more people. It's bound to affect more people. No one is saying it's 100%, or that there was no hungry person in 1960. Of course there were. Percentage of the population. It was that time you had the Udoji Awards. That time you had Udoji, you had all sorts. The oil boom started. Are you saying that the oil boom did not get Nigerians happy? Fast forward to Obasanjo's time, after Shagari, after Buhari, when the civilians came back. You now had the telephone companies, I don't want to advertise for them, coming in. Nigerians began to buy brand new cars again. By the time that government was going, most of our debt was gone through the parish club, etc., etc.
All right. Okay.
Then, so you see, my brother, please understand me.
Yeah.
I am not saying that there were no Nigerians suffering then or previously.
Seems like you're saying so.
The percentage has increased.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll take a break. When we come back, sir, I'm so sorry. I apologize for interrupting. We'll take a commercial. When we come back, we'll continue. For those of watching at home, please stay with us. Welcome back. We're still looking at the recent spate of looting of warehouses belonging to the government of Nigeria, particularly the FCT, that's the government of the Federal Capital Territory, Nigeria's capital, which is under the federal government anyway. And of course, trucks conveying food items, for instance, in Dede community in Abuja, a truck belonging to BUA, a company carrying spaghetti, was intercepted, and the items were taken away by persons on account of hunger in the land. I guess this night on Politics HQ is the spokesman or spokesperson of the New Nigeria People's Party. Ladipo Johnson is a lawyer and a politician. He joins us via video link. Mr. Johnson, thank you for your time. Is there an element of, I'm going to stick to that a little bit before we go. Is there an element of morals, national morals and values that is part of this, you know, where a Nigerian would say, because I'm a good Nigerian, no matter how bad things get, there are certain things I cannot do?
I pray so. Yes, there is. And I pray that those who stick to morals and try to be upright. I pray that the numbers will remain high and even be on the increase. Yet it is very, very difficult at the moment because you see the man on the streets, don't say I'm attacking government again. The man on the streets stays there, sits down, tries to go to work, has to pay for fuel to light up his accommodation, his home, etc., etc. Transportation, what have you. Cost of everything has gone up. Healthcare, Medicare, all costs going up, even electricity. And then they say, okay, it's because we can't afford to keep paying subsidy, etc., etc. Yet he turns around and he sees that his representative in government is still able to buy a brand new four-wheel drive. They're still doing all sorts of things. Nothing has been removed from the close to 30 million naira a month that his senatorial representative is earning, or his member of the House of Reps, close to 19 million per month when you aggregate everything. So the average man begins to feel, what are the people in government sacrificing? What is happening? Look, this is an aside. Let me tell you something. If it were decided today, if President Tinubu really wants to begin to take action, what he should do is to say anyone traveling with him, what do they call that thing when you travel and you take money from government, and you have different levels, say $1,000 for this, a PAMSEC, this amount, that amount. What they should do is change it from the dollars to the naira and say that if you are this, you are going with 100,000 naira a day. If you are this, 50,000 naira a day. If you are this, 500,000 naira a day. I assure you, they will make sure that the naira is stable. But right now, if government officials are traveling, whether that $1,000 costs 1 naira or costs 10 million naira, they still have access to that $1,000 a day. So you see, government has not shown seriousness in this matter.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, I just want to take you back a bit. When
yes, sir.
You talked about, I asked you if the US dollar, if inflation is brought to a single digit, like it was under Jonathan, if the Naira dollar rate is reduced to what it was in the time of Yakubu Gowon, if subsidy of Buhari is restored, if we'll have, things better for the majority of Nigerians. Under Yakubu Gowon, you're right in that, as you said, the US dollar was pegged at 1 naira to 0.658 US dollars. That was very good. I think it's a far cry. We're a far cry from that. But there were economic hardship and difficulties. I mean, you remember that more than I do, if I was even around at that point. There was inflation, despite the oil boom. You had also massive unemployment. Nigeria struggled with high unemployment rates during Gowon's regime. And the country's industrial sector was underdeveloped, and as a result, many Nigerians faced unemployment, particularly in urban areas. There was unequal distribution of wealth during that oil boom, and so on and so forth. And that is what led to the coup. So the point I was trying to make, and I don't know if I just want to speak a bit to this, is that if everything becomes equal, inflation, the exchange rate, and fuel subsidy, you still will have people who are going through economic hardship, who, if they have a sniff of an opportunity, will loot the nearest warehouse to take things away. Are you there, sir? Okay, Ladipo Johnson is frozen. Mr. Johnson, can you hear me?
I lost you when you said people going through economic hardship who, if they, and I lost
Yeah,
you there.
if all things are equal, that you will still have the situation we saw in Dede community, the one we saw at the FCT Department of Agric warehouse, you know, and any other place where looting has occurred, you know. And therefore, some will argue this is a question of the values of society. For someone to sit and say, no matter how bad it is with me, I'm not going to go and take what doesn't belong to me.
Yes, I think we can look at your question in two ways. What I will say is that if it is single-digit inflation, the naira is stronger. The economy, who, even if you are creating jobs, who are either unemployed, some are unemployable, you know, to be, etc., etc. So you will have people getting into jobs, you have more prosperity, but not at the highest level. Whichever way it is, there will be less people than we have now who are unemployed, who are hungry, who are despondent, who have no hope because of the high cost of goods, etc., etc., etc. Then you speak about values and morals. Yes, it's good to be moral. It's good to be a person who believes in values and morals. Where, may I ask now, are most of those values and morals? Over the years, the shred of morality in society has been torn or is being torn. And I say that because, my brother, your child wants to get into university. You have to bribe a dean or you have to bribe a vice chancellor. You want to have harvest in your church. You are inviting a senator and telling him right there in the church that you want to build a church hall. You are encouraging him to go and steal. Same thing in the mosque. So the pillars that hold on to society when we're talking about values and morality, that is the church, the mosque, our communities, our schools, universities, those pillars themselves over the years gradually have lost all fabric, are losing the fabric of morality. And so it affects society as a whole. Now, the desperation, we might not have more time. The desperation that the average man is getting from economic hardship, because in that economic hardship, he has ideas, but he cannot get money from the bank. He cannot get into starting a business, etc., etc.
All right.
He becomes desperate. That desperation leads to his reducing his morality. If not, he won't eat.
Okay, Ladipo Johnson, I would like to ask you, when we come back from our next break, if Nigerians need to be more patient with the Bola Tinubu administration, bearing in mind that they are just 9 months in office, and there are some economists or schools of economic thought that say before the results of economic reforms are visible, the country and its peoples have to go through a period of pain and difficulty. Stay with us for those of you watching at home. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Politics HQ. We still have the national spokesperson for the New Nigeria People's Party, Ladipo Johnson, a lawyer and politician. Thanks for staying with us. Mr. Johnson, do Nigerians need to be exercise more patience with the Bola Tinubu administration? Because some economists are of the view that you have to endure short-term pain for long-term gain. This meaning that for the results of economic reforms and like structural adjustments to be felt, you as a country and the people will go through an initial period of difficulty.
Yes. May I just quickly ask you a question, sir? What football team do you support in England? Which
Arsenal.
one?
Arsenal, I'm sure you could have guessed.
Good. Now, if Arteta begins the season and before halfway through the season, as your manager, you've lost 80% of your matches, things are getting worse. My brother, will you let him finish the season as manager?
Ladipo Johnson, there is...
Hang on. The likelihood is you will not. I always say this. Nigerians are willing to preach patience.
Okay.
Even when they cannot see factors. Look, if things are going to get better, you'll see some indicators and know that it will take time. Anyone that came into government in where are we now? We're in 2024. In 2023, and did not go to cut costs immediately he came into government. I tell you, that person is not going in the right direction. I don't want to use another phrase.
But Ladipo Johnson, you chose
because we knew. Hang on,
yeah.
We knew. Look, let me just tell you. Now, Mr. President is talking about Orasonye's report. He wants to reduce costs of governance. Is it rocket science? That's the first thing.
But Ladipo Johnson, just so you don't lose your train of thought. You asked me which. Sorry, sir. I apologize, sir. Sorry, sir. Please.
2023, Kofi.
Sorry, sir.
The first thing you would have done as an broke as a country or as a business, let us reduce costs.
Ladipo Johnson, you asked which football club in England. Ladipo Johnson, sorry, sir. You asked which football club in England that I support, and I told you Arsenal. You said perfect, and you said if the coach of Arsenal loses 80% of his matches in a season, will I be patient? Will the fans be patient with him? Of course not. There may be agitations, but I want to tell you of the history of this man called Mikel Arteta, who is the current coach of Arsenal. There is a phrase that Arsenal fans use. Which club do you support, Ladipo Johnson, in England? Which football club, sir?
My clubs are not doing well, so I didn't hear that question.
I think it's Chelsea or Manchester United, one of the two. Now, there's a phrase.
Yeah, you're not too far off.
There's a phrase Arsenal fans use in connection with Mikel Arteta: trust the process. Trust the process. And indeed, Arsenal fans have had to endure difficulty right from the days of Arsene Wenger. And when Mikel Arteta came in, it was difficult for him. As a matter of fact, there was a season where Arsenal did not qualify for the Champions League or any league in Europe. They didn't qualify for Europe at all. What happened? The fans were calling for the head of Mikel Arteta, but the owners of the club trusted the coach and gave him the benefit of the doubt, the Kroenkes. And what happened? They trusted the process. And now the fans have bought into that phrase, which is trust the process. Yes, sir. So maybe I've answered your question. And maybe that says that Nigerians, if I'm going by your analogy, Nigerians should trust the process with Tinubu.
The Nigerians ought to trust the process. You see, when they see that certain things are being put in place, you trust the process and you say, well, hopefully things will turn around. What I'm saying to you is that unfortunately, a lot of Nigerians, I don't know, you may have seen some things, a lot of Nigerians have not seen enough to believe that government is going in the right direction. They haven't seen enough. And I think part of the problem, let's even give the government benefit of the doubt. Part of the problem is that government itself is not thinking about the optics. The optics are very important. You are doing things, you are putting things in place. Yet, the lavish lifestyle, the lavish style of people in government continues. Then the people who are out there, the masses who are suffering, who are tightening their belts, begin to think, are we fools here?
But Ladipo Johnson, the signs you're asking for are there. Now, the Nigerian Naira has gained for the 4th straight day since the CBN's interest rate hike, since they increased the MPR. 4 straight days, the Naira has gained against the dollar and major international currencies.
Fantastic. How much is the Naira now? Where did it drop from? You see, I'm not one of those that call for that. Because what happens is that something is at 10 Naira.
Ladipo Johnson, are you there? Okay, we've lost him. I was just about to tell him that the Naira appreciated by 5.33%, you know, which is significant. Okay, we have to pull the plug at this time. Mr. Johnson, are you there, sir? Okay, we do not have Mr. Ladipo Johnson. But hey, these are the conversations we need to have. Now, and personally, I'm not here not saying that everything is perfect, but of course, I've been able to ask Ladipo Johnson the hard questions, and he's been able to give us the answers to those questions. And we'll keep our eyes on the signs and the signals as far as the reaction of Nigerians to the ongoing economic hardship is concerned. But that's where we'll leave it tonight, right here on Politics HQ. Hope you had a good time watching us. We'll return tomorrow with more conversations on the latest and most important topics in Nigeria's politics. My name is Kofi Bartels. Good night.